Hello, everyone. Welcome to Question Everything, a podcast all about learning from the successes and the failures of those who dare to, well, question everything. This podcast is part interview, part therapy, and part Price is Right. We have our own game board stacked with questions that'll make even the most successful CMOs totally sweat. I'm your host, Ashley Walters, CMO and partner at Curiosity. On today's episode, I sit down with podcast host and founder of Breaking and Entering Media, Geno Schellenberger. With over 450 episodes recorded, Breaking and Entering has become a go-to resource for industry insights and strategies. Today, you'll learn why authenticity isn't just a buzzword, but a necessity. What CMOs need to know about Gen Z in 60 seconds or less. And the most overused tactic brands use when aiming to go viral. So lace up your dancing shoes and get out your whiteboards because Geno's in the house today. Let's get started. Geno Schellenberger, founder and CEO of Breaking and Entering Media, has built one of the top advertising podcasts globally, dedicated to helping aspiring advertisers and agencies succeed. He and his team have transformed the platform into a leading industry resource, earning praise from leaders at Mischief, the Martin Agency, and TBWA for nurturing emerging talent and fostering agency brand connections. He was named Campaign US Young Advertiser of the Year and one of Ad Age's 23 Gen Zers to know. Well, I can't wait to get to know you. Geno, welcome to Question Everything.
Let's go.
We made this happen here in Cincinnati.
It's so beautiful here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh.
Everything looks great.
I'm so excited too. Your podcast is blowing up. It's like an adland phenomena. How did it happen?
Oh my goodness. It started April 16th of 2020. It was the first episode that we posted. It was the pandemic. I'm graduating from University of Illinois, studied advertising, and I'm ready to start my first full-time job at Adland. I get into this crazy immersion program. I was essentially going to be an intern for a year on a salary, and then boom, pandemic hits. So that is where we were sitting in my parents' basement. I was wondering, what can I do with my time in the quarantine? That's where the idea of the podcast.
Watching Tiger King.
Watching Tiger King, yes. And it was really those Zoom happy hour calls that people were doing.
Yep.
And I was like with my aunts on the call, we all had like our drinks. I'm like, what can I be doing? I see the little record button at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, maybe there's something there. And then I started talking and the first episode came.
And now you're like a full-fledged media company. Like what's the vision? What's the plan?
Jack Westerkamp and I are doing this full time. It's a media company. The vision really is to kind of like grow it and really just create content around advertising, help everybody be better at their jobs within advertising and marketing. And I think there's a high ceiling there. We haven't hit it yet. And we've only been doing this full time now for 7-8 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you know how this podcast works. I've got 12 super spicy questions. I don't know what's behind each of these numbers, and the power is completely in your hands. So what number are you going to pick first?
We're going to start with number 5.
Number 5. Ooh, it's like a game show. I love it. All right. So Adland never sleeps. New tech, new trends, nonstop pitches. How are you guys staying sharp without like burning out and, just becoming that like jaded creative guy?
Oh, yeah. Well, first thing, it's like we're best friends. Jack and I grew up together in the same hometown, went to different high schools, but then met up more so in college. So we're really good friends. So at the end of the day, when, days are tough, we get to go back to our 500 square foot apartment, and we really just get a chance to not talk to each other. Yeah. Like we just kind of like go into our little corners of our walls there, and we can go get a beer, or we can go hang out, and we can always make jokes about each other. I'm asking him about his dating life. He does the same and makes fun of me. So it's just like working with your best friend, and then also the idea that what we're creating is helping the industry and helping people. Like that's the intrinsic North Star. And it's always been that. That's how I've been able to record 450 episodes over the past 5 years. So just reminding that it's helping our listeners, looking at the feedback, the LinkedIn messages that we get, people telling me that they get jobs because of it, they got a promotion, or they've learned something new. That kind of helps like fuel us. Also, working out in the morning, hitting the fundamentals right of like trying to get enough sleep. We're not working like 20 hours a day. It's like we're doing this full time. So like 8-9 hours, you can get a lot done if you're focused for that time. And then we have time off and we can go home.
Where do you go to get inspired?
We're both lucky that we get to interview people that are so inspiring. So I kind of feel like podcast episodes are like my therapy sessions, and I learn so much. I get inspired by them, but then also just reading the ad trades every single day. We do a 60-second video every morning. So I'm looking at the work that people are creating. I'm looking at the award shows, even going to some of the award galas and the events.
Saw you at A-List.
Exactly. Like seeing you there, seeing all the people excited, like that just makes me really happy. But I'm also kind of like an ad nerd. So I always my problem is I focus too much on the ad industry. I should probably look externally as well.
But you guys are having like agencies and brand side marketers. I mean, it's really runs the gamut, even like intern all the way up to CEO.
Everybody. It started with just helping like people break in for their first job. Now it's expanded to everybody, helping everybody out.
So cool.
Thanks.
All right, let's go back to the game board.
All right. So I will pick for the next one, number one.
Number one. Let's see here. Okay, so there's a looming fear that AI is coming for entry-level ad jobs. So if you were just now breaking in, what would you say to Gen Zers out there? Or what would your Gen Z playbook be with AI?
Yeah. I think now more than ever, personal branding does matter. Like it's, be really good at the fundamentals of your job, but then also try to create some sort of passion project or a podcast or a blog of some sort, an Instagram channel. Like try to get your name out there, show up in person, build your brand, whatever your niche is on the side. I think that's so important because it does scare me.
Yeah.
Like for some of the copywriters out there, art directors out there, strategists out there, like it's doing a pretty good job, and that is pretty scary. So cementing yourself as a thought leader, you own a niche, you have this power, this superpower. I think that's super important today.
I mean, you got your job at Havas, right? Did I read that right? Because of the podcast.
Exactly.
It's like, we don't need your 7-year experience. 2 years with your passion project was enough.
Yeah, that was wild. I interviewed Myra Nussbaum, who was at the time the president of Havas Chicago. I got done interviewing her. She followed up with me and was like, "Do you want this comms director job?" Like she sent me the job description. So I was like, heck yeah. Like, but also I don't have 7 years experience. But she said, all the connections you've made through the podcast, you didn't even know it. You were interviewing David Griner, Doug Zanger, who's here today, like Tim Nudd, like these journalists. I just trying to stay consistent every week. And then I've developed those communications, like that PR list of friendlies, we call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. We just had PJ Pereira on the podcast last episode, and he was talking a lot about AI and how there's so much opportunity for copywriters. You mentioned copywriters to learn how to write for AI agents and taking their same craft, but just adding another layer of skill into it. So it'll be really interesting to see how these like up and coming graduates, like their skill sets are going to be so much more evolved.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just like owning it and like also learning it super well, because when I would imagine you're getting into an ad agency, you have that fresh perspective. They're going to be looking towards the new hires on what's going on in culture. How do we use this AI? Like just constantly put in your social media feeds, like tutorials, follow the right channels. So you're learning as you doom scroll.
Yeah. Doom scroll.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the board.
Wonderful. Number 10.
No, oh, you tricked me. All right. Number 10. You were inspired by Mad Men. What's one old school ad industry rule you think should be retired, along with the 3 martini lunch?
I have one. I remember I was leaving at around, when I had an agency job, I was leaving around 4:45 p.m. And somebody said to me, taking a half day. And I'm like, yes, classic old joke. Like I laughed. Like the person that said this didn't really mean it in a malicious way. Like, and was friends with everybody there. And I just think that's like, even just like propelling that vocabulary, that way of thinking, I think needs to stop. That one kind of still bugs me today. So I would always like try to take that away when I was working there.
I think one of the blessings of COVID has been this like freeing of needing to be in the office 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. It's like we can be adults and do great work almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have no, like, it wasn't Just like you can work from anywhere, and like maybe I was done for the day. Maybe I was actually not going home to work. Maybe it was 4:45 and I've got all my work done for that day, and I didn't have any meetings, and like it's okay for me to be done at around 5:00.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we should retire, that like long hours for no reason.
Just that grind. I agree. All right. Let's go back to the board.
Number 2.
All right. What's behind number 2? So what's the most surprising thing that you've learned about the advertising industry from one of the guests on your show?
One of the most surprising things, how entrepreneurial this industry is. I mean, in my case, able to start my own business, but like the idea of like going into an ad agency, you can create your own little ideas that the agency will produce, or they'll like, invest in you.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, we'll give you a stipend for hobbies or learning a new language, like, or, a proactive idea for a client. I've heard, I think it was with, Graham North from Nice and Frank, like when he was working at Goodby, he started his own like his own little incubator for brands, and it ended up like working really well. And he dipped out and started Nice and Frank because of that foundational skill there. So that's the one that comes top of mind, how entrepreneurial is. If you look at like Fast Pickle, which is not a sponsor at the moment, they have sponsored us. Guy that runs an advertising agency wanted to create a new hydration drink, and he has a skill set to start a brand, and so he created Fast Pickle. It's just like pickle juice, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
Liquid Death is another example of that, how entrepreneurial this industry is.
Yeah, it is so true. I feel like, I don't know, me growing up in the industry, I don't feel like people were as entrepreneurial. I don't feel like the like side hustle and the passion projects, and maybe I just didn't hear about them as much as I do now, but I love that our industry celebrates that more than ever. We have a program that we just launched. It's called Cure Lab, which I'll give you like all the deets on the side, but it is so people can come and pitch us like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So if you have a business idea that you want to build, and then Curiosity will be your first investor. And so how do we give them funding? We're going to give $25,000 to the winner this first round.
Can I submit?
I know. Maybe you should, or maybe you should judge.
I would
you could be
love
one
to.
of the judges of the competition.
We'll be here.
And then we're going to partner them with mentors in the industry, so they have somebody that they can like ask questions of, look up to as they're building their little business.
That's wonderful. Just be ready. They might dip out.
I know.
Which would be great. Like they become a client one day. Like you want to see people be successful. You want people to have like really good experiences, and that
full
just
circle.
It ripples through across the agency, that good energy.
I
love
agree. I totally agree. All right, let's go back to the board.
Well, wonderful. Let's go with number 12.
All right. Number 12. You got into theater very early on after a sports injury. And so I'm really curious, how did that plot twist shape the way you pitch ideas today?
Oh my goodness. I love this question. Not many people know this. Yes. You guys have done your homework. I really appreciate that. It's so funny. Yeah. I think everybody should take should be in some sort of production. If you can get on stage, I think even for an improv class or just like a little like training of some sort, I'm not like a group, it changed my life. It gave me confidence to get up on stage. It just kind of, took away all like that stress. I still get nightmares though of going up on stage forgetting a line. Like that doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. So it might be some trauma there. I never did. Yeah. But also it's like the speaking and the articulation when you go into a room or you're presenting, those skills are so beneficial for especially advertising, I would say, if you're going to be an account executive or really anybody that's going to be presenting ideas. It's so crucial.
I totally agree with you. You mentioned improv. I have like a very soft spot in my heart for improv. So I have to just tell you this funny story. I think you'll appreciate it. But I was pitching at my last agency. We're in this huge room. It's like very dimly lit. Mm-hmm. And I look over and halfway through our presentation, the CMO is asleep.
Uh-oh.
Like dead asleep.
Uh-oh.
And like, instead of doing anything, you know what we did? We just kept going. And I'm like, we ended the meeting. We didn't win, of course. And I'm like, why didn't I do something? Why didn't I change the room up? Why didn't I go wake him up? And I had realized that we lacked improv skills. Like, we were really good at presenting our content, but if you threw us a curveball or asked us a question, we weren't great acting on our feet. And so I actually partnered with Second City out of Chicago, and we did like a year-long study with them, and like got on stage at Second City in Chicago, like did all this amazing stuff with them. And Kelly Leonard was on this podcast, the author of Yes and, if you haven't read that. Oh my gosh, you would love it. But I totally agree. And I did a ton of research. Like, a lot of business leaders and CEOs actually have studied improv. A lot of the business schools have improv as part of the coursework. I think there's just so much we can learn about our leadership abilities, our presentation styles, communication through theater.
Yeah. What do you think you would have done with that CMO looking back? Like, make people switch seats and stuff?
I think I would have stopped. I probably would have went and like turned on the lights, just like casually, like, hey, it's getting a little dark in here. Let me turn on this light. I would have said like, hey, is any of this tracking with you? Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Now I would have had the confidence to just stop and like put more pressure, I think, on him and his team.
But also, is that a type of CMO you want to be working with?
Probably not. Probably not. Which is like really interesting to think about. Like, you've invested all this time and money. We flew halfway across the country to have this meeting. Do you just walk out? Like, should we have? I'm curious, like, what other agencies would have done in that moment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, hopefully that never happens again. And if it does, you know what to do.
Now I know what to do. Have you ever used your improv? I'm sure you use it all the time in podcasting.
All the time in podcasting. In agency life, I'm sure I did. I mean, I would do like, all agency meetings, like leading like trivia, if there was a stall, if a guest speaker was late, or if there's a tech failure, they would give me the mic, and like Halloween, like contests and stuff like that. Yes. I would have to MC it every single time. And I'm like the youngest person in the agency. Yep. And they just like let Geno, like give the mic to Geno, and like, engage with the audience, like pull out my phone, look up trivia questions. Let's go. Know all the names of the people. Whoever like wins gets a extra drink or something like that, or gets a day off, cool. I would say.
Yeah.
Something like
they
that.
had a lot of trust in you.
Yeah. For
That's
better
great.
or for worse.
Probably for better. All right, let's go back to the board.
Do you want to pick?
I mean, my favorite number is 9, so I'm always going to go 9.
Let's go 9. Has anybody ever let you pick?
Sometimes people will let me pick the last question, but the thing is I don't know what's behind each of these numbers.
That's right.
So I sometimes will call to the crew and ask them to pick which one they want. Okay, so you recently hosted an agency positioning battle with my good friend Brian Bonilla, who I adore, who's also on the show. So why do you think so many agencies are getting it wrong with their positioning? There's some really good ones out there too, but sometimes it's nice to talk about.
I think some are just really old agencies. I don't know.
Stuck in their old ways.
Yeah, like I feel like it's a lot of the newer independent or smaller shops that have got to define their own positioning, and they have done an amazing job, like you all. But that doesn't give an excuse to some of these more established holding company-owned agencies to reposition or slightly just have a tagline of some sort. But the best ones, I believe, is when the name also aligns with the values. Yeah. And then has that creative spark to it and gets it out there to the world. And there's a good amount that have that too. There was about 32, I believe, in our agency positioning battle. You guys were in it as well.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, so talk about your dream agency profile. That was a really good little series that you did too, or episode that you did with Brian. Like, the dream agency you guys would want to work for.
Yeah, we did that. We have trivia coming up too, but we did like build your dream agency. Yeah. And I live in New York, so I just wanted to do something completely opposite. Yeah. I would call my agency No Research. And I would everything would be like, there would be no research. Everything would just be off like a quick human truth that we discussed in the room, and find like that insight, do a human truth, and then just create work. It would be in San Francisco, ideally a beer client. It'd be a 4-day work week, which alludes to my earlier point there of that balance of work-life balance. And I had Anselmo Ramos as the CCO, and retroactively, I realized he probably would not buy into that. because he's a really hard worker. He does a really good job. I think he values good research, good strategy as well. So there might be some issues there. Sorry, Anselmo. We love you, but you're fired.
A backup draft or something. I don't know. Who else would you have? Have you thought about it?
I don't know. Who do you think would fit that profile?
Maybe it's an up-and-comer.
Maybe. Mary Adam is a younger copywriter around my age in Chicago who's going to be up next, I would say. She's phenomenal. She would probably vibe with that.
Love that.
We'll give her the ball.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Promotion, new hire.
Yeah, just needing to go through the incubator that you guys are running.
Yeah. Cure Lab.
Yeah.
All right, back to the board.
All right, number 4.
Let's go. Okay, so you said you didn't talk until the age of 2, and now you host a podcast that's heard by thousands. What flipped the switch from silent observer to mic dropper?
Yeah. At least that's what my mom says. Is that late? I don't have. Is that?
I don't know.
Does it take a while?
I don't know. I read about it. Okay. I don't think it's that late.
Okay. Let's say that's. But
super
late.
your mom does like to talk about that.
Yeah. What flipped the switch though? I was always pretty quiet. Watching my brother, who also did theater, like get up, and go to his productions, and he would MC award shows as well in high school. I think that really kind of set the tone of you can be vocal, you can be yourself. So I'm really grateful to have him in my life. My father was an educator at a high school, and he was a guidance counselor. So he ran a leadership program for around 20 plus years. They have a scholarship in his name.
Wow.
And he brought me up on stage when I was 8 or 9 as well, in front of a bunch of high schoolers, and they loved him. Mr. Shelley, they called him.
Oh.
And he brought me up on stage and made me dance. The DJ played music, and I started dancing, and then the high schoolers loved it. They were cheering me on. I think that was also a really pivotal moment. It gave me confidence to get up, and just people like authenticity. So when we're swearing and messing around the whiteboard news that we do every morning with my good friend, that also kind of reaffirms it too. And that's maybe the secret sauce.
Wow. What a cool moment. Especially at that age, I feel like a lot of kids are really timid. That would have freaked them out. And the fact that you you know what, I'm just going to dance.
Absolutely. I did the leg grab and something like that. I don't know. I could do it later.
We need video or something.
For sure.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you dance now every day. And
Jack does more of the dancing. He does more of the dancing. But yeah, we really put ourselves out there every single day. And that A word, authenticity, I want to see people do that. I challenge them to make some funny videos like us, or do some something on their own, whether it's show your work. Show some spec work out there that maybe you're holding back, post it, get it out there.
That's a great idea. All that stuff just kind of dies. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Number 6.
Okay. So in 60 seconds or less, I'll time you. What do marketers still not understand about Gen Z?
All right. Do you have the phone?
Hold on. It's going to take me a minute.
So this would be Gen Z news you need to know in 60 seconds or less.
Let's go.
Okay. Gen Z insights you need to know in 60 seconds or less. So this is a thing that people get wrong about Gen Z. I'm really not that sure, because I am the oldest portion of Gen Z. I'm 1997. So I'm right on the border of millennial and Gen Z. So I can kind of flex there. I don't know. People say they don't like to be advertised to. I think that's fairly true. I think they really like seeing and on Instagram and communities of them promoting products indirectly. I think that's a fair assumption. And we're very entrepreneurial. So that is all I got. Was there anything else that I should add?
No, I think that's a pretty good recap of the Gen Z audience.
Yeah.
And stop. Good job.
Boom. Don't even need all that time.
Oh, that's so fun. We should have done a dance though, right?
Oh, for sure.
I love that you guys do that. Whose idea was that? Like 60 seconds or less. You like cram in a ton, but it's only the most important stuff. Highlights of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we just came up with the idea when we moved into our office on Madison Avenue. It's a shittier WeWork. It's a Regis, and we had this space. We had the whiteboard, which I stole from my last agency job. They gave it to me. They were very supportive. And we had the whiteboard, and we just did a breakdown. If you look at the first one, it's like 3 words or 3 sentences, and we didn't like put a lot of detail into it. So we had that space, and we just wanted to create more content. That's all it's about, is creating more content for our company.
I read that you almost deleted your first podcast episode.
Yes. Yeah. So that would have been April 15th of 2020 that night. It was scheduled to post the 16th. I remember waking up, opening the laptop, like hovering over the delete button with the first episode with my first guest. And that was just because the imposter syndrome. Is the industry going to hate this? Once it's out there, it's out there. But you can actually delete stuff like on the internet. Like that's a misconception for sure. But I almost deleted it because I was just freaking out. And I shut the laptop, did not delete it. I had a conversation with the first guest the next day, telling her this, who's a good friend of mine. We went to school together. She's like, it's just a documentation of your process and progress along the way. You're not the expert. The guests are the experts. So learn from them. And you're also taking on the perspective of the audience. So you can ask the dumb questions. And now I don't think there are as many dumb questions. They're dumb in different ways now. So I'm really, really glad I didn't do that, because we wouldn't be here today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Took a lot of bravery.
Thank you.
But it's worth it.
For sure.
All right, let's go back to the game board.
Number 3.
So let's
I figured this was going to come up.
Let's rewind to your early days of duct tape wallets, which I hope you still have some, in absolute ads. What was the first campaign that made you go like, this is it? This is what I want to do?
I would have thought that I was actually like going to watch a YouTube video, a refresher on how to make one. I wasn't sure if you're going to like have a roll of duct tape, because I think I would be able to do it still. The absolute ads were definitely interesting, like cutting those out, putting them on, like gluing them on like poster board. And my mom was like, is this like a project or something? I'm like, no, I just really like this stuff. Like, this is interesting. Like Snoop Dogg's face was in it, and like just cutouts. The first campaign that probably was like, this is it, was like Past the Hines and Mad Men.
Oh, yeah.
Just like that was like what I watched. And I was like, wait, this is it, from watching that show. And I think Kraft Heinz actually ran those spots. So that was the first one.
Very cool. All right, we've got time for one more. What do you think?
Last one.
Okay.
Let's do this. You're doing great. Number 11.
I know, no pressure. And like most people on here don't have their own podcast with 150,000 plus listeners. All right. So you've seen brands go viral. What's the most overhyped breakthrough tactic people need to chill on?
I'm just thinking right now of like from a business to business branding standpoint, because that's really where I kind of sit. The one where you have a green screen and a selfie video going on to explain stuff, like there's one person that does it really, really well. He's the OG. Shout out to Ali.
That's right.
But I've seen other people try to kind of mimic that. And I think it's just like, we can relax on that. Like there's other ways of doing it. So I think that's a little overhyped now. And that's the one top of mind. What do you think?
Well, I think that's a great answer. I mean, that's really specific. I don't know. How do you feel about like influencers right now? And do you feel like they are still being leveraged appropriately? You see some brands just like completely abusing influencers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think like
it's like this, they clearly do not use your product, or they just started using your product because you're paying them a shitload of money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so inauthentic, going back to the authenticity thing.
Yeah, definitely influencers. I don't get like super excited about like, wow, they use the perfect influencer to promote this product. It's not going to make me want to buy it personally. I'm looking for the tried and true good campaigns, like the Aura ring that came out a couple days ago. Like, think that's a good one. Like never like never be a former New Yorker that mother did. Is just like out of home, digital, just classic, good idea, good execution.
Insight. Yeah.
That to me is how you break through on good ideas and great execution.
That's right. All right. So we always end our podcast with a fun little this or that. So you don't need to overthink it. We've got a couple of topics and you're just going to pick this one or that one.
Okay.
However, we're going to do it a little differently today.
Sure.
So I don't have duct tape wallets, but I do have hot wings. I hear you're a fan of Sean Evans' Hot Ones.
Yeah, he went to U of I. I love that.
True story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have got 2 very spicy chicken wings. And so I'm going to do it with you. We will cheers. And then we'll do a this or that.
Let's do it.
Are you game?
I'm so game. Are you kidding me?
We'll let the team bring in the wings.
Oh, okay. I was like, I saw them like gearing up. I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, what are they talking about? Like, they had something.
No. All right, you got the sweatband on. Yeah. They're not temperature hot.
That's okay. We got to ding it.
We're going to ding it. Oh, God, I'm very nervous. There's a lot of sauce on here. Okay.
I'm Geno Schellenberger, and this is, what's the name of the segment?
Hot Ones, this or that.
This or that, spicy version.
Oh, yeah, that's hot. Oh, my God, it's so hot.
Help.
Okay, here we go. This or that. Geno, New York or Chicago?
Oh, my gosh. You cannot do this to me.
You got to pick one.
This is torture. I'm going to go with Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dancing or podcasting?
Dancing or podcasting?
Podcasting. That's an easy one. Okay. Crowbar Awards or Ad Age A-List Awards?
Crowbar Awards, for sure.
We'll link to those. A studio mic or a tiny mic?
Tiny mic.
A cocktail with Don Draper or an episode with David Droga?
He just stepped down. So Don Draper, cocktail.
All right. That was it, man. This was a ton of fun. What'd you think?
So fun. I'm sweating.
I am too.
I'm curious how hot is this gonna get. So
I think we have a few minutes to figure that out. What's the best way for our listeners to get a hold of you?
Follow Breaking and Entering Media on LinkedIn, and that's it. Just do that, and everything else will take care of itself.
All right. Until next time.
Thank you.